Marriage is one of the biggest commitments you'll ever make.
Entrepreneurship is one of the hardest journeys you'll ever take.
And when you choose to build a business and raise a family at the same time,
you face challenges most marriages never have to navigate.
We know because we've lived it.
We've experienced seasons of misalignment, financial pressure, and moments where growth tested our connection.
Not because we lacked love, but because building something meaningful together requires conversations most couples aren't prepared for.
Welcome to Entrepremarriage. I'm Micah.
And I'm Mahogany.
This podcast exists to help couples build wealth
without losing the marriage.
Let's talk about it.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this perfect opportunity to launch Entrepremarriage podcast. Thank you for using Micah and I to bring wisdom and information and collaboration and growth to your people. Help bless every listener on this podcast. Bless their families, bless their marriages, bless their finances, bless their ideas, bless their businesses, Father. And we give you all the glory and honor for everything that takes place here on Entrepremarriage. Amen.
Amen. This is our first episode of our long-awaited podcast, Entrepremarriage. I think we've been in the works for, I want to say, how many years?
It's been at least a good 6 years since we've been discussing Entrepremarriage, coming up with the name, making the plans. And I just can't believe, I'm not going to say I can't believe, obviously, because we did believe. That's why it happened.
Facts.
But it's just amazing to see something that started as ideas actually take place at the absolute perfect timing.
I agree. Because, we've been talking about this a long time because, we both have our own individual podcasts. And then we just now finally got this one popped off. We've been having the Instagram page for so long. People always ask when you guys starting it. And here we finally are. We actually, on this podcast, this is our third one. So we decided to make it. Mahogany was like, nah, we making this one straight up perfect to the T. We doing a full-blown studio. We getting lights, cameras, all that. So I was like, okay, cool. So this Christmas, we went ahead and got everything and created the little studio up here in Mahogany's office. And we about to bring it to y'all. So Mahogany, you want to tell them what the podcast is about and then a background of our story, but mainly what we're going to be doing with this podcast.
Sure. Thanks for telling me what you want me to talk about.
There you go.
Appreciate that. All right, y'all. So this podcast, you're going to be hearing all things marriage, of course. We've been married for 11 years. We'll get into our love story, how we met. We'll try to keep it as authentic as possible without putting y'all all up in our business, because that's also not why we're here, for y'all to, be all up in our tea. That's not the point.
Ain't no red table talk going on.
Ain't no red table talk. Ain't no Will and Jada who slapped who. None of that's going on here. But interesting enough, it was in our notes back when all that drama was going on of it, something we were going to talk about here on this podcast. So with that being said, you'll probably hear a little bit of just current events, what our thoughts are on certain things. Go ahead, Micah.
I think that was
it. Let them know, like, when it comes to business and stuff, what they can expect to hear to help them on that side of things.
Because one thing me and Mahogany have always wanted to do, we've been entrepreneurs, I want to say probably since we first got together. Our first business, it was a flop, but we started a business. It was all about, like, I think, was it advertising for black-owned businesses?
Yeah, it was called Melanated Businesses, but that's another story we can get into later.
Yeah, but we'll be talking about everything. Like, we found our real niche was in real estate, so we're going to talk about real estate. We have friends, too, as well, that do real estate, stocks, bonds, crypto, anything you could think of. As you guys know, my podcast is all about short-term rentals, Airbnbs, real estate. Mahogany's podcast is about ladies empowerment. So we're kind of collectively bringing all that together in this podcast and kind of just showing you, us, and what we do and why we want to be like a guiding light to, anybody who's married and wants to be in the entrepreneurship lane. Because, like, we both have 9-to-5s, work W-2s. And not only for anybody, but we know we're an African-American black couple, so we know that's going to probably end up being our target audience. Because, me and Steve with our podcast, I'm black, he's Mexican. We just noticed, like, the black and Mexican community kind of just flock to it.
Yeah, or any type of, diversity or
Mm-hmm.
any type of discrimination or any type of, setback or small amount of resources that you might have in your culture or your background or upbringing. It's not really necessarily, because we're black, but of course that's who is going to flock to us, people who know us, but Micah spoke about being a lighthouse, like a guiding light. We don't know it all. We don't have it all together. So we're going to be bringing those lighthouses, people that have been lighthouses on our journey, to y'all here as well. So that way you're able to hear different perspectives of how other people are maneuvering through entrepreneurship and marriage. If you're someone who's not married, you're going to have a space for listening. We are going to be bringing married people to the table when it comes to these discussions, because more than anything, we want to serve our married communities. It's so important to us to see marriages last, doing this whole entrepreneur thing. Like, it's easy to get lost in the sauce when it comes to marriage. So bringing those two things together is a big focus of ours, and a lot of what you'll hear about here on this podcast. So if you're single or if you're dating, I'm sure you'll find a lot of value here as well, because you'll be able to hear how married people have been doing it. Like we said, we've been married 10, almost 11, but we'll have people come speak to us and share information with us who have been married 20, 30, 40 years while doing entrepreneurship together. So y'all are in for a ride. You're going to love it.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun ride. Yeah, we do have friends. The first couple I want to have on is our mentors, of course. Our mentors who've mentored us through our whole marriage, and the reason why we're probably still here, right? We're going to have them on. But, yeah, that's like the basis of the podcast. But for the people that don't know us, because we do have a pretty big – Mahogany has a big following.
You got a big following.
In the DFW, For the people that don't know us, I guess we can kind of give a quick background into who we are, how we met, where we are now. And, you want us to tell the story?
Yeah.
I'll just stop. I will stop and correct you if she says some stuff that doesn't quite line up.
I think I need like a little beverage right here. My little throat's getting dry.
Dang. Is that bad? You need to. Yeah, you should have brought a beverage. You want to start with the story or me?
I'll let you start with the story.
You want me start?
Yeah.
Okay. So we met in 2007. It had to be 2007 because I was a senior in high school. Mahogany was a freshman. Now, we didn't date because you know me. I didn't at that point in time. I didn't date really nobody. Well, I had dated people younger than me. No, I don't think I really had. Mahogany was the first person younger than me that I dated, but we didn't date in high school. I met her in 2007. It was like the end of the school year, wasn't it? Because you were new to
second semester. It wasn't the end, but
yeah, getting close to it because I remember I had filled out all my college paperwork and I was getting ready to go to Atlanta. I got into Clark Atlanta University. And I met Mahogany. She was walking, and I was with my homeboy, and I was like, "Dang, who is that? We got it." And also, let me give you background about where we went to school.
That's important.
Yeah. So we went to school in the Pacific Northwest, particularly Vancouver, Washington, which is right across the bridge from Portland, Oregon. Now, there ain't too many black people up here. Like, it's probably in our school, I'd probably say 30, 40 max, right? And now, to us, like, we grew up like that, but her family from Texas, my family from Arkansas. So when we go back home, we see nothing but black. So then when we go back home, you like, dang, bro, it ain't none of us up here, So that's so she stood out because I was like, dang, we got a new black girl at the school. So I went up to her, I grabbed her schedule, and I seen she was a freshman, and I was like, oh, you a freshman? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So I handed her best schedule back, but she was like, I think he was trying to go like to the freshman hall or something, dorm. And I said, oh yeah, it's down there. And then whatever it was, the
pods,
cubbies, whatever they used to call them big things they had. And so I was like, whatever, it's down there. And I think we never really talked after that for a while, right?
Yeah. After that, I was a new girl. I went through all that. I don't remember seeing him much besides at lunchtime. Like, there was like a black table. That's how, little of us there was there. We had a table of like the 16 of us who had the same lunch period. And Micah would just always be very loud, like, and wild and lanky and tall and just goofy. None of this is true. And like,
okay.
If y'all know him, you know him. So it was like that. Y'all, if you guys are friends, please comment and say how you remember this guy being in high school. So yeah, that was more his vibe. I never really saw him as like a romantic partner or anything like that. I ended up transferring to Salem High School, a high school in Salem, and he went off to college. he would stay in touch whenever he'd come to town and let me know that he was here visiting.
No. How do we get in touch though?
No.
Nah, what happened was
No. How do we get in touch?
yeah, you hit me up.
You're talking about when we finally ended up getting in college?
Yeah.
Honey, that's one time. That was way in the future. I'm talking about when I was still in high school and he was in college.
Yeah.
And
how did we link back up?
he would come to town and hit me up. He hit me up for some birthday party he was having. You came by and tried to link up with me.
Boy, see, you have to tell the truth.
You brought your mom to the mall to meet me? What do you mean?
Yes, but I'm saying, how did
that happen?
We didn't talk, right? So I came back up here to visit one time. I came back up here came back to Portland. By the way, we live in the DFW area, and we'll go through the full story. So I come back up there to visit. I think my grandma had passed. Was it grandma passed or my birthday?
Yeah, I think it was your birthday.
It was my birthday. It was my 21st. And it was my 21st birthday. And I went up there. And I remember I said, I'm back in town. I think I posted it on Facebook or something. Mahogany slid in my DMs and said,
absolutely not.
Mahogany slid in my DMs.
That's the first time I've even heard this, what you're saying.
And she
That's
said,
crazy.
oh, what's up? I was like, oh, what's up, man? I haven't heard from you in a while. And we were just talking. And I was like, and she was like, we can link up. I thought she was still up there, but she was in Salem. So I was like, okay, bet. And I was telling my mom I was going to go to Salem, but she was like, oh, man, I want to go to this wine place down there and get some wine for somewhere. And I was like, bet, well, I'm going to shoot to Salem. And I was like, and then I met up with you. And I met up with you and your cousin Ebony in the mall. And my mom was with me. And we took a picture because I had on a green polo.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the picture. I don't remember sliding in your DM, but...
You ain't got to remember.
That's wild. So, yeah, somehow he drove like an hour to come see me.
45 minutes. But
no, it's not 45 minutes.
From Salem to Portland?
Salem, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington. That's where you were.
Vancouver to Salem? Okay, we'll say.
So, y'all got to check these men when they're telling stories. They want to act like.
That ain't the story.
I don't slide in no one's DMs. I never slid in your DMs.
Okay.
So, we're going to keep going with the story, but.
Yeah, we'll keep going with it. Okay.
Wow. We're going to talk later.
Okay.
So anyway, I met with his mom and him and my cousin was there, and he ended up coming with me to my high school, met my grandfather.
This is the second time I came down.
He came a couple times, but the last time he came, he asked me, hey, what are you doing after college? I mean, after high school. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Texas for college. And he's like, I'm going to meet you there. Yeah. And I was just like, okay. And that was that. True. Didn't hear back from him. Never heard from him again, really.
No, I hit you up.
We didn't really stay in touch much after that until I was in college.
Yeah, till you was in college. Your senior year.
No, even before that, because I had a boyfriend at the time.
I know, because we could talk about that too.
That wasn't my senior year. Yeah, so go ahead and talk about that. But we're at
no, because that's when I shot down, because she lived in Austin and I lived in Little Rock. So I couldn't go to Atlanta because I had a family tragedy. And I knew I wasn't going to stay in the Northwest because I knew I had to get out of there. So I was like, this just ain't for me. So I moved back to where my family was originally from in Arkansas, and I lived there for 5 years, went to college and all that. But, like, the cool thing about Arkansas is you can drive, you can drive to Atlanta. I mean, not Atlanta's drivable, but, like, you can drive to Dallas, Houston. Austin's pretty far, but we ended up going because I think we went to, was it South by Southwest or we went to the Relays? It was one of them.
I don't know.
I hit you up. I hit Mahogany up, and she was like, I was like, what you doing, yada, yada. I knew she had a boyfriend because of Facebook. And then she didn't tell me, though. But she also didn't meet up with me either. She was like, you trying to kick it? Well, just go to 6th Street. That's where everybody is. I was like, okay, bet. She kind of curved me. I was like, cool. We'll work with that. I was like, whatever. So I go to 6th Street and I had the time of my life. And then after that, I went back to Arkansas. We didn't really keep in touch much then. Yeah, so in 2013, I moved to the DFW. I moved to Arlington. My goal was to get to Houston. And we'll talk about Houston a little later because I wanted to go to Houston because it was just like, a little bit more for my age, time. I was single, young, Houston's Houston, right? So I was trying to go to Houston, but I ended up coming to Dallas because my uncle lived here, my stepsister lived here, and I live right off 30, and I'm only 5 hours. Like anything goes wrong here, I'm 5 hours. I just shoot back to Little Rock. I'm right there with my family. So I was here like a month, and we met up. I moved here August 23rd, 2013. And we met up in October because it was the fair. The fair was here, and you came up here for the fair. And I had posted, she slid in my DMs again, actually. I just thought about this.
On this one, I did post on your thing when you posted
the weather. She didn't slide in my DMs. You're right.
Anyway, so he posted the weather. I'll go ahead and take over here. So he had posted the weather on his Instagram. Hadn't heard from him in like years.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, you're in Dallas. I was in Dallas as well for the fair with my friend at the time. Another story we could tell later. And so this guy was like, well, I'll meet up with you. So we ended up meeting up and we went out to a club. We'd come and go. I'd come to visit him, and he'd come to Austin to visit. That's a relationship we actually developed from meeting up again and linking up again. So we'd go back and forth to visit each other. We were friends at the time, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was friends.
Because,
sure.
you be quick to be like, you like me. Like, no, we were friends.
I had to, after I got a few things in line, I decided I liked you. After I realized, you had a degree, you was getting a degree, you had a bright head on you, had a good head on your shoulders, you had good credit. I mean, there was a bunch of stuff. I was like, okay, nice. You from the Northwest, but your family from the South, so you got Southern roots. You have certain skills. I'm like, okay, I like you. I dig you. So yeah, of course, I like you. I made my move.
Yeah, and the rest is, well, not history, because like I said, we were friends for a while. Things started getting real after we were on an MTV show called The X and the Y.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
That's when things started getting serious. On this show, it was a mini series that MTV did a while back. What year was this? Like 2013.
End of 13, yeah.
And basically what the show is someone was me, is asking for a chance back with one of their exes. The ex was Micah. We had pictures from high school because we were friends and times that we had met up previously. And I can't really say anything else because I don't want to get sued on that. But
okay, go ahead.
We, ended up rekindling on this show, and we just really, hit it off after that. Instead of, getting my own place in Dallas, I ended up moving in with him. And a funny story, I don't know if we could tell this later, if we could tell it now.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, Micah had just been robbed by a girlfriend he had at the time. And so, I guess I slid in her place. Is that what happened?
No,
He upgraded a lot.
I did upgrade, but no, that ain't you. I used to make bad decisions. Not bad decisions. I was conscious, aware of the decisions I was making, but I used to live a different life, and that was it. I
don't know what he had going on. Anyway, when I found him, he didn't have no TVs. His TVs had been robbed by this girl that he had moved from Arkansas with, and it was just like a whole thing. No, she had a kid. He was playing stepdaddy, I guess. I don't know. It was just a whole thing.
Time out. This is the funny thing. She up here thought I was hiding a kid. I was like, what are you talking about?
That's a story for later, because that's a whole nother, like.
We'll talk about another podcast.
That's like a whole nother trail of things. We could add that with the rest of the other embarrassing things that have happened.
With who, or me or you?
Both.
Because me, I wasn't embarrassed by that.
You've been embarrassed, though.
It is what it is.
But no, saying, stories to tell. Stuff
but that's how we got started. And when she moved in with me, that's kind of like how we hit it off. Like, we was together when we moved in, and then I think I got another job, right? I got another job, and that's when we moved to Dallas, like inner city Dallas, because you start working for the state. And then I got a job, and then we moved to Dallas so we could be closer to my job, and Mahogany's job is already close. And then we lived there for a year, 14, 15, until we got married in those apartments, and then we had our son. And then we had our son. It was like, okay, we don't want our son to be raised in an apartment, so that's when we bought our first house, like when he was like 3 months old. Because I remember shout out to our realtor, Pam Cottrell. I remember every Saturday, man, we was getting him out the car, looking for a house to buy. Once we get in, and he was a little bitty baby, having blowouts, having to change that. Man, I was in time, and we end up finding a house. And that's a whole story, too, finding a house, because, boy, I'll let you tell that one. Mahogany get pissed off every time she talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. A story we'll tell.
Yeah, we'll tell it.
But, we're just really happy to have y'all here. We just wanted to give y'all a little bit of insight on how we met, a little bit of our love story. There's so much more we can tell, and we are excited to tell and share. This is an episode just kind of like letting y'all know what to expect and getting to know us. But in other episodes, you will not only hear more about us, but other tactics when it comes to our business, strategies and shifts we've made, how it's been being in entrepreneurship and married, and things like that. So we're really excited to have y'all here. We're excited to be here.
For sure.
We're super hyped to like just see what is done through this platform and through Entrepremarriage.
And that is our first episode in the bag. But like we said, we have many more stories to tell, and that'll be our first episode in the bag. And thank y'all for coming along this journey with us, and we hope y'all enjoy it. And we are out.
If this conversation resonated with you and you want to go deeper,
join us inside the Entrepremarriage Inner Circle on Patreon. You'll find the link in the show notes. And while you're here,
make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future episodes.
You can also join our Entrepremarriage Facebook community. The link is in the description to keep the conversation going between episodes.
Thanks for watching.
Until next time,
keep building wealth
without losing the marriage.